Welcome back. Democrats were already grappling with the fallout from the release of the party's 2024 election autopsy report. And now they're dealing with the new candid admissions from what we were just talking about from former First Lady Jill Biden on her husband's debate performance during that campaign, casting a cloud over Democrats as they try to take control of Congress in November. Joining me now is Democratic Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz of Florida, who is running for re-election. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Kristen. Thanks for having me.
I would like to start with these new comments by the former First Lady Jill Biden this week. She said she was frightened when former President Joe Biden had that 2024 debate performance. And of course, right after the debate, she came out. She said she thought that he had done a great job. I wonder what you say to voters who hear these new revelations and feel like they were misled.
Well, what I think voters have been saying for the past year, Kristen, in nearly every special election that's taken place across the country, is that they reject the direction that Donald Trump and his MAGA extremists have taken this country, and they repeatedly elected Democratic candidates in many cases in overwhelmingly or previously held Republican seats, so that they're sending a strong message that they want to make sure that we move forward, that they have candidates who are talking about the issues that matter the most to them, which frankly, from my perspective, representing my constituency, it's very clear they want to focus singularly on making their life more affordable, whether it's groceries, rent, gas, electricity, healthcare, and Republicans are totally out of touch.
Congressman,
as evidenced by Donald Trump saying that he doesn't care about that.
We are going to talk about the midterms in just a moment, but I want to stay on this topic and these new revelations by the former First Lady. She said she was so concerned about her husband's performance during that debate that she worried he was actually having a stroke. She then went out and publicly said to people that he had done a great job and continued to defend him in the weeks following that. Just to that core message, what do you say to voters who see that disconnect and feel like they weren't being given the full story by the First Family and other Democrats?
Well, I'll say to you, like I say to my voters, that we're focused on moving forward. I think the hundreds of millions of Americans appreciate and thank Joe Biden for his lifetime of service to this country, for the fact that when he was president, we made sure that we actually passed legislation to make their lives more affordable, to reduce the cost of prescription drugs, that he ensured that we passed the Inflation Reduction Act, and we did so much in terms of investing in infrastructure and boosting our economy. And their feelings towards him are warm, and we need to be, I know voters want to be focused on the future.
And as you look to the future, though, I think a lot of voters are wondering, what are the lessons from the past? You were one of the Democrats who, yes, acknowledged that then President Biden had a poor performance. You did advocate for him to stay in the race, though. Are there any lessons that you take away from that moment as Democrats look to the future?
Of course. I mean, we always have to go back and look at how we ran an election and the decisions that could have been made differently. I definitely think that we got the message that voters were very, very concerned about the cost of living, about life being unaffordable. Donald Trump talked about the whole campaign and has not done a single thing to actually focus on that. And now Democrats have said, look, we got the message. We heard you loud and clear. They don't want either party focused on culture wars, and they don't want their candidates to be focused on the opposition as much as they want to be hearing from us on what we propose to do to make their lives better. And those are definitely some lessons that we could have taken. And it was a short campaign. So, it was not a traditional campaign that was run, one that I think probably can't be fully extrapolated to future elections.
Well, there was this DNC autopsy report that was released about a week ago into the 2024 election. It was published under pressure. As you know, it had errors, missing sections, didn't have sourcing. You were chair of the DNC, and you published an autopsy report into the 2014 election. Right. How would you assess how Ken Martin handled this matter?
I think what happens in the aftermath of any review, any serious review like we did in 2014 and the review that was done this time, is that no one is going to be happy. I mean, we lost the election. And so there were obvious things that when you really take a deep dive and look at them, at what things you could have handled better and how you can improve for the future, you're going to have regret. You're going to have frustration. And that frustration is obviously trained on the entity that has produced the report. And the important thing to do is not engage in finger pointing. We have to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, which we have done. We're already in the process of implementing and have implemented a number of the recommendations that came out of this report, including, I mean, for example, we needed to be talking to folks that were outside our comfort zone. I know I go on more conservative outlets more often than I used to, and we got to reach out on the digital platforms that we probably didn't spend enough time on, and we've just got a lot of nuts and bolts work to do. And the proof in the results in special elections shows that work is ongoing and that it's paying dividends.
Very quickly, before we move to another topic, a number of your colleagues are calling for Ken Martin to resign. Do you think he should resign?
We do not need to be focused on internal party politics or a circular firing squad right now.
All right.
Honestly, the DNC is really not the entity that's the focus in a midterm. These are individual campaigns run by candidates for Congress and the party organizations run by the two legislative chambers.
All right, I want to turn to your race, your decision to run for re-election in a majority black district under Florida's newly redistricted map, which is drawing some criticism. I want to read part of a statement signed by 10 of the 15 elected members of the Florida DNC. Let you respond to it. It says, quote, "At a time when the Supreme Court has gutted the Voting Rights Act, this decision," referring to your decision to run, "reinforces the same message Republicans have pushed for years, that black representation does not matter." How do you respond to that allegation, Congresswoman?
Well, Kristen, first, this is a majority-minority district, just like the one that I represent now. This district, I represent a district now that is 42% Hispanic and 18% black, and the rest non-Hispanic, white, and other. This district is 42% black and 20% Hispanic. So I have represented a majority-minority district for years. I know how to stand up for, fight for, and represent diverse communities. And the feedback that I am getting all across Congressional District 20 has been enthusiastic and supportive, because they know this is a community. This is a district that knows me. I've represented 9 of the 14 cities in this district. They know me and I know them, and they know that they want someone who has the seasoning, the experience. I've been in Congress for 22 years. I hold leadership roles on appropriations as well as in the Democratic leadership. And they know they want to have someone who's going to be ready to go in there and fight for them. Because this district's been through a lot with Ron DeSantis, leaving it open for 10 months after Alcee Hastings, my mentor and dear friend, passed away. Now it'll likely be left open for a year by Ron DeSantis. Mm-hmm. Ron DeSantis and Republicans have no respect for the people of Broward County. And those voters want to make sure they have a fighter like me who has a lot of experience going to bat for them.
All right, Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.